Greetings, salutations, Eddie here, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing another book tag because that's all my brain can take right now. And it is the 50 Bookish Questions Tag. And I don't know who created it. I did find it though on peaceloveandveggies.com, which, that is the name, right? Well, it's called My Bookish Universe. But it's like not just about books, it's like about, recipes and life and health and home and parenting, so there's that. So it's gonna be a long video. Get comfortable, grab a snack, and let's get into it. What was the last book you read? The last book I read was Instant Karma by Marissa Meyer. I'll put the picture right here, or right here. It is a really good book. It's a really fun book about a girl named Prue who lives in a coastal town, and she develops this sort of power where she can cast instant karma on people. And it's like this really cute, fluffy book with like magical realism in it, and it's fun. Was it a good one? And it was absolutely fun. It was really fast-paced, and I got through that book in like maybe 2 or 3 days. What made it good? The dialogue and Prue's narration. It actually felt like some people may find this as like a negative thing, but to me it was more like, take off my glasses because you'll see the glare. To me, it felt like Prue was actually telling me what happened rather than just narrating the book, if that makes sense. I loved her conversations with her twin brother Jude, their friends. I believe it's Ari, I think is how you say her name. And then her friendship, their lab partner friendship, Quint. And like the setting too. Any book set with a coastal town, I'm gonna love it. Would you recommend it to other people? And yes, I would. I would recommend it to people who love fluffy contemporary novels for like summer reading. This came out in November, so I feel like this should have come out in summer. But hey, it is what it is. I recommend it if you just want to get a cleanse of like after you read like, I don't know, like a 6-book series of like Mortal Instruments or Vampire Academy or Throne of Glass, or even if you got through somehow Game of Thrones, read Instant Karma because it's absolutely fun, and there's references to like films and musicians and just amazing. How often do you read? I read when I get a chance, so maybe after I get done recording this and editing it, and then maybe after I get done with schoolwork, I will read. I don't know what book I'm going to read next. Maybe I'll continue with Heartless, or I may continue with reading City of Ashes or something. I will find something though. Do you like to read? No, I just have a book channel telling you that I don't like to read. I mean, I love reading. I do. It was ever since I was a kid. I was probably the only boy in my class that was willing to read. It just sort of felt weird coming from a guy because typically there's the stigma where guys don't like to read, but I love to read, so that's okay. What was the last bad book you read? I don't want to necessarily say bad because I don't like to put that stigma on books saying this book is bad, you shouldn't read it, because people have opinions. So for me, I would say Valiant by Holly Black. And it's the second book of the Modern Fairy Tales trilogy, which follows Val. The first book and the third book follow a character named Kay. This one follows Val. She has a rough life. You know, when we first meet her in the book, she's sort of, or not sort of, her life is turned upside down because her boyfriend cheated on her with her mom, and she runs away and then becomes a squatter with New York City subway people. What made you dislike it? Val and the story. I did not connect with Val at all. I did not like the story. Coming from a book about fairies, they go into this one, which wasn't really about fairies. It just sort of kind of turned me off about it, because I feel like the Modern Fairy Tales could have been a duology. It could have been 2 books, because I found out that you could skip Valiant because apparently it doesn't really add anything to the main story. So I don't know, but I'm glad I read it because it's part of a trilogy, and I'm going to go back into Ironside soon. Do you wish to be a writer? Yes, that is my absolute dream career. I would love to be a writer. I think ever since I was a kid, I just loved making up stories. I may talk about that in another video where I will absolutely embarrass myself talking about my writing origin story. Has any book influenced you greatly? Yes. City of Bones, Chronicles of Narnia, Bridge to Terabithia, The Kite Runner, obviously Cinder, and of course Percy Jackson. They influenced me in terms of like they create their worlds and they get to control it. Whereas Kite Runner based in a real world where Khalid Hosseini had to follow rules. I don't want to say that. He wrote a book that was set in the real world, in a real city, in a real country, and there's certain policies in play for that country. Back then, this book was like 2003, I think. But with books like City of Bones and Percy Jackson, and Cinder, they're in their own world. And to me, they sort of showcase that you can create your own world and you can tell the characters what to do, and in that world. So every fantasy story inspiration comes from those writers. Do you read fan fiction? I used to read fan fiction for like all of my favorite, I only actually read fan fiction of 2 shows, Pokemon and Digimon. That's it. Do you write fan fiction? I used to. I kind of do still to this day, but it's kind of bad. I just do it just to have fun with it. I'm not really looking for it. I'm not really looking for to publish it on like Fiction Press or Fiction whatever. What is your favorite book? So many. Obviously Cinder by Marissa Meyer, that whole series actually. The Percy Jackson series, all the Shadowhunter novels, Bridge to Terabithia, Narnia, Kite Runner, Little Fires Everywhere. What is your least favorite book? I have a couple that I can name. Save the Pearl, Revealing Eden. That's probably the most racist novel I've ever read in my life. Sorry to bring up Again But Better, but Again But Better. Carve the Mark. I mean, that's not like a terrible book, but I was just bored to tears. I will read her chosen ones though, because that does sound pretty interesting. Breaking Dawn. I think that was a really bad book in my opinion. Black Widow, Forever Read. No, I hate that novel. Do you prefer physical books or reading on a device like a Kindle? I prefer books. Actual books. I prefer actual books because I love the feel of them. I love actually touching the cover and actually looking inside and actually looking at a font. However, ebooks, you got them all on your iPad or your phone and it's just set to go. When did you learn to read? I learned to read when I was maybe 6. I was 6 years old. What is your favorite book that you had to read in school? The Kite Runner. Hands down, The Kite Runner. Just the messages, the themes, the writing, just everything about it just stuck with me and it's in a special place in my heart. What is your favorite book series? I have 5. Lunar Chronicles, Mortal Instruments, Infernal Devices, Percy Jackson, and Hunger Games. Who is your favorite author? I have one too many. Marissa Meyer, Cassandra Clare, Rick Riordan, Leigh Bardugo, Marie Lu, Rochelle Mead, Celeste Ng, and Khalid Hosseini. What is your favorite genre? It differs. Sometimes I'm feeling sci-fi, sometimes I'm feeling dystopian, then fantasy, then supernatural, then middle grade. It just depends on what I'm in the mood for. Has a book ever transported you somewhere else? All the time. All the time, because I can easily put myself in the world of, let's just say, Ravka from the Grisha series. I can say that I can transport myself to Chicago in Divergent, or St. Vladimir's in Vampire Academy, or The Kingdom in the Throne of Glass series, or Camp Half-Blood from Percy Jackson. I can throw myself into those worlds, and my god, I have a blast. Which book do you wish had a sequel? Little Fires Everywhere. Even though I believe that is a great standalone novel, I want to see where Izzy ended up. I want to see where she went. And I want to see her life afterwards. Like, I want to see like a 10-year jump. Like, what happened to the Richardsons? Are they, did Lexi and Tripp or Moody, did they ever leave their mom? Did they ever leave Shaker Heights? Did Mia and Pearl ever, or did Mia ever make up to her parents? Or, I just want to know. So, I wish that had a sequel. Which book do you wish didn't have a sequel? Well, I guess I can say Tithe, because Valiant was not a good sequel to me, so I will say that. And Insurgent, I did not like that as a sequel. Obviously, that's a sequel to Divergent. I guess I'll go with that. How long does it take you to read a book? Depends on how long the book is and what it's about. So like Instant Karma, I read that in like 3 days because it was just a simple story. It was a cute story, so I just flew through that rather quickly. If it's like a book that's set in like a third world or second world like fantasy, that takes me a bit because I have to readjust myself to that world. And if I stop reading, then I have to remember that, oh, I'm in the world of Terabithia or whatever. So I have to picture myself. That a Cassandra Clare novel takes me about a week because the books are really long. Like, I'm looking at The Dark Artifices right now, so my eyes are like adjusting over there. Those books are so big. So that may take me a week per book. I'm not sure. But the Percy Jackson books are like this big. I could fly through one book per day or something like that. So it just depends on what the book is about and like what the genre is, and yeah. Do you like when books become films? Yes, sometimes. I think that most books are certainly made to be turned into films. I think that the story is very engaging and so, complex and layered. I believe that translating into a film would be really interesting to see. The one book series that I wish would not be turned into a film, because I feel like that's going to be really not to say that's going to be bad, I just picture the producers and the directors and the special effects artists struggling on how to make it good, is Daughter Smoke and Bone, because if you read that trilogy, you know how hard it will be to turn it to a film. Which book was ruined by its film adaptation? I have 3. Vampire Academy. Yeah, no. Shadowhunters, the television show. No. Season 1. And Percy Jackson. No. Which film has done a book justice? The Hunger Games trilogy. Those films, Francis Lawrence directed Catching Fire and Mockingjay Part 1 and Part 2. And Gary Ross, I believe was his name, that directed the first one. Those films did such a good job with it. It was just so good. They were just excellent. I love those films. Do you read newspapers? I don't, because I get newspapers, but the words are like so tiny sometimes that my eyes strain when I'm reading them, so I don't read newspapers. Do you read magazines? No. Do you prefer newspapers or magazines? I'll just say newspapers. Do you read while in bed? Yes, I do, because that's the most comfortable spot. I have my lamp, I'm sort of scooched up in a corner, and I'm just reading. I have a cup of tea with me, and it's amazing. Do you read while on the toilet? No. No. Do you read while in the car? No. I get car sick way too easily. And I learned this trick from Tyra Banks, I think, where you lift up the newspaper and you look up. Tried that, I couldn't do it. Do you read while in the bath? I don't take a bath, I take showers, so no. Are you a fast reader? Depends. Are you a slow reader? Depends. Where is your favorite place to read? My bed or a lounging chair. We have a lounging chair in the house and it's so comfortable, so I just sit there and I just prop the legs up and get comfortable and I start reading the book. Is it hard for you to concentrate when you read? If I'm in public, yes, because I people watch sometimes. So I do have a hard time, reading while I'm in public. So there's that. Don't necessarily need to have music on. I have background noise. I don't mind background noises, but it also depends on what I'm reading too. Do you need a room to be silent while you read? No, I just said that. I normally put on a loop of a 3-hour YouTube video of someone playing a piano, or I have Hell's Kitchen playing in the background. I don't really need to pay attention to that, so I just have that on and I'm reading my book. Who gave you your love for reading? My mom, my dad, my grandma, and my great-grandma. And I guess my grandpa too, but he passed when I was 4, I think, and I don't remember if I've ever seen him read a book. What book is next on your list to read? Well, on my Goodreads currently reading page, yes, I should be wearing my glasses while I'm on the computer, but I don't want you guys to see the glare, and honestly, it's really not that bad. So I'm listening to Cast Long Shadows, which is entry into the Ghost of the Shadow Market series, or collection, excuse me. I'm also reading Heartless by Marissa Meyer. I've been reading that for quite some time. Dark Lover by J.R. Ward, the first book in the Black Dagger Brotherhood series. Red Scrolls of Magic by Cassandra Clare. Between Shades of Grey by Ruta Sepetys. City of Ashes, also by Cassandra Clare. Ironside by Holly Black. The Young Elites by Marie Lu. And Chain of Gold, but I stopped reading because I want to read Dark Artifices, so I should be taking that off my list, but whatever. When did you start to read chapter books? Probably when I started to read for the first time. Hold on. Bridge of Terabithia and Narnia are obviously chapter books, so there's that. And I didn't read I know that the typical answer should be like Harry Potter when I was like 7, but I didn't read Harry Potter till I was like in my teens. Oops. Who is your favorite children's book author? And Catherine Patterson, Bridge Terabithia, obviously. C.S. Lewis for Narnia. Rick Riordan is a children's author, so I'm going to say that. Sorry, I should be sitting up. And yes, Black Lives Matter. And yeah, which author would you most want to interview? I interviewed an author, Romina Russell. I will put it down below. I would love to interview Cassandra Clare, Marissa Meyer, Lee Bardugo, Rick Riordan, Holly Black, Sarah J. Maas, Maggie Stiefvater, Sabaa Tahir, Rochelle Mead. I would just love to interview those authors. Which author do you think you would be best friends with? Maggie Stiefvater, because her humor is very much like mine. So probably Maggie Stiefvater. What book have you reread the most? The Lightning Thief, probably. Probably The Lightning Thief. That or The Magician's Nephew from Chronicles of Narnia. Which books do you consider classics? Well, I don't read classics, but the one I can think of is probably Kindred by Octavia Butler. Books do you think should be taught in every school? That's a hard one because schools have policies that where books shouldn't be in school, where certain books shouldn't be in school, and I can kind of get that. I believe To Kill a Mockingbird should be taught in school. That's about racism. I think that's a very important book to have children read. Which books should be banned from all schools? I don't really believe in banning books because the more you ban books, the kids are going to read it and they're going to talk about it in school. But I think the one that should be banned in school is The Maze Runner by James Dashner because of the allegations against him. That's just my personal opinion. But they banned Huckleberry Finn and To Kill a Mockingbird because of the use of the N-word, which I can understand why they would do that. To Kill a Mockingbird was the only one that I read in school, and that taught us racism and taught us racial injustice. So I believe that I don't think any book should be banned in school except for any book that has an author being charged with a harassment claim or, you know, allegations or something like that. That's just my personal opinion. Jesus. Okay. That was the 50 Bookish Questions Tag. If you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. I would love to see your guys' response to this, and I also want to know what your stance is on banned books in school. I know I didn't really explain that well enough for me, but I may do another book themed video talking about banned books, possibly, and banned films. I will do another video talking about my writing origin story. I did one in the past, didn't really like it, I will redo it. So if you guys like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and comment below with your responses. And for more content, please subscribe. I hope you guys are staying healthy and staying safe, and I hope you guys are wearing your mask. One last note, Godspeed, God bless, and I will see you guys soon in the next video. Deuces.